Hi, it's me, Solomon, the guy from YI basically, and like I said in the previous video, if this video gets a lot of like good traction, right? I was gonna make another one, so here you go. Here's the second video. So I think for this one, I'm just gonna give like answers to questions that you guys have posted in the comments. So I have about 9 questions. My computer is right there, so I have about 9 questions, and in this video, I'll be addressing about 4 to 5, right? Because otherwise it's gonna get too long. The first video was already way longer than expected. It wasn't supposed to be 22 minutes long. Okay, anyway, yeah, it got a lot of traction, a lot more than I was expecting, and that's a great thing actually. Because yeah, just as I had hoped, the message and the tips are being brought across to the next generation of students that are going to be taking the A levels, right? So yeah, hopefully those that have watched the video and understood it pass on the knowledge and tips to batches below, sorry, not below, the next batches, so you can create like this sustainable cycle, right, of goodwill. Right, so before I start, I just want to mention someone said I look like Nino from Miraculous Ladybug. I'm- I can't even, bro. Yeah, okay, I can't even complain about that shit because it's actually valid. I actually did look like Nino. I'm just not gonna wear the red cap again, straight up. Okay, anyway, so okay, in the comments, right, this dude called Wonhao, he brought up a really good point that teach people what you're like, teach others something you're good at, and they'll teach you something they're good at. Yeah, that's a really good point. Bear that in mind, right? So yeah, that's basically my 5th point in the first video about teaching others so that you understand better. Right, so for this first question, short answer, yes, you can. You can balance JC Gym and CCA with, yeah, you can do that actually. But you have to play it right. Okay, so there's things you have to take note of if you want to do something like that. So let's say you have CCA 3 days of the week, right, as the commenter has. You'll go gym on the other 2 days of the week. So essentially you're extending your day to like what, 6 or 7 every day, right? So how do you make this work? One thing that a lot of us do is waste time on shit like YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, TikTok, shit like that. If you do that, and you want to go to the gym and go for your 3-day CCA, it's not gonna work. So what you're gonna have to do is, instead of like living normally with all your like distractions, like the ones I mentioned just now, right? Or gaming especially, that's another huge distraction. If you want to do gym as well as your like 3-day a week CCA, you're gonna have to replace some of that wasted time with productive time, right? So you're gonna have to basically stop wasting time on TikTok, right? If you wanna have that kind of life. But yeah, so you can do it, but you have to be disciplined enough such that when you come back from the long day, you're gonna be tired, right? Most likely you don't want to do any work. That if you just go on social media and then just spend the next like 2 or 3 hours scrolling, then it's not gonna work out. You're not gonna be able to succeed, right? So yeah, I'm gonna say it's quite difficult to be able to do something like that. Because I mean, I also succumbed to that shit. I was also like on social media for pretty much no reason, just wasting time before I realized what I was doing was messed up. So yeah, you can, but you have to watch your time, right? Replace your unproductive time with productive time. That's the main gist of my answer. Okay, so to add on to what I was saying, if you have other hobbies, right, or let's say that you don't go to the gym, maybe you want to go swimming or like cycling or some shit. It's a great thing, and you should be doing that. That's one of the things that'll help you out a lot actually in school with your stress and general mood. So yeah, you can do things like these, but you have to understand that you have to be realistic with your time. So at most you could probably fit in like, okay, you could fit in more hobbies in a day, I guess, but I would probably stick to like one main non-academic activity per day, right? So you come back from school, let's say I hit the gym, right? I wouldn't do any other thing for that day. Like if I finish gym, I'm not gonna go spend another hour on cycling or swimming or some shit like that, right? For the day, the activity for that day would be the gym or whatever other hobby or like basically whatever else you want to do, and then the rest of the time you're gonna need that to do your homework because it does take quite some time, and you have SLS as well. You have stuff to catch up on, right? You need time to relax and unwind as well. You can't be like a productive machine 24/7, right? So yeah. Okay, and just for reference, like I said just now, I also succumb to like social media and shit, right? So okay, I didn't my days weren't as productive as they could have been because I didn't know better. So for me, I only hit the gym once a week, and that was on the weekends because I was too lazy to go after school, and like honestly not disciplined enough to go after school. So during my JC years, especially J2, I kind of quit gaming pretty much because it takes a lot of time without you realizing, right? You hop in a match, you like, you finish the match and you want to go a little bit more, and then by the time you know it, it's been like 3 or 4 hours and you're still going, right? So I quit gaming because it's really easy to get lost in that shit without knowing how much time you're spending on it. And yeah, okay, I quit gaming, but I was wasting time on other stuff, so I guess it's counterproductive. But anyway, my point is, for me, just for reference, I only hit the gym once a week, right? You can do it more, because if you take into account the time that you can save by not scrolling mindlessly and consuming like a bunch of irrelevant content on social media, right? Like, I don't know, just watch random ass cooking videos or some shit and you don't really learn anything from them. Like, those short ones where they just like, there's just a bunch of graphics appearing on the screen or other random meme content or whatever. Like, yeah, it's funny, but it really doesn't help you at all. So if you just delete that from your schedule, replace it with gym, you could hit the gym like 2 to 3 times a week and get away with it for sure. Okay, how do you stay energetic while studying? How do you not fall asleep? How do you not burn out? How do you not get your brain fried? All that shit. Right, so the first thing I like to point out, which a lot of us kind of skimp over, is don't stay up to study. That shit is counterproductive. It doesn't help. Don't do that shit, right? If you didn't do your work, you didn't do your work, right? You could have done it in the day. Don't stay up until 2 or 3 a.m. to do that shit, right? It won't really get into your head, right? Especially before exams, don't stay up. Really, it doesn't help. So that's one. Oh yeah, also if you stay up at night, like the next day you're gonna be sleep deprived. So while studying, naturally you're gonna be more sleepy and more lethargic, right? So that's one. Another thing brings me back to the point I made about social media. So I think, right, okay, let's say you study for a while and then you take a break, right? Ideally, that's how it should be. You can't just like burst study like 4 hours in one shot. You just like, that's crazy. You can't do that shit. I couldn't do that either. So most likely you'll study like about, let's say 1.5 to 2 hours, right? You take a break. What you should not do is go on TikTok during this break, right? For multiple reasons, right? One of them being a lot of time can go by without you knowing. You'll just lay there on your bed and you just keep scrolling, bro. There's the infinite scroll problem, right? It's a lot of problems with this shit, right? We don't really realize it, but I think there's more like attention coming to this problem. Anyway, so if you go lie down on your bed and you just like scroll through all that content, it's like you're sending bursts of random ass information, unconnected information to your head, and that's gonna like, you're just overstimulating yourself basically, and that's the number one way to fry your brain and get tired, right? When you're studying, you're taking in content, right? Like somewhat slowly, and you're already getting burned out from that. Now imagine doing the same thing, but the content isn't even connected, and it's way faster rate. Like it's like video, audio, all that shit coming at you all at once. Yeah. And then once you get up from your bed, you're in a daze, or like you're tired. Your brain hurts, your eyes hurt, you don't want to study anymore. So yeah, don't do that shit, right? If you're gonna take a break, take a productive break. Okay? How can you make your break productive? You can do things like, I guess you could go on a walk if you want to. It helps a lot more than you would imagine. You could do that, or you could do some journaling. So if you're really stressed, you could do journaling. I did this, by the way, when I was in JC. If you're like super stressed, you can just write out your thoughts and it'll clear your head, right? You can, just be more productive with the way you spend your time, right? I think it's called productive procrastination or something like that. I mean, in this case, you're not really procrastinating because you're taking breaks, but you can apply this to times when you're procrastinating as well. Like, instead of just watching irrelevant videos on YouTube, you could try to watch relevant videos on YouTube, right? So, I don't know, if you want to learn a language or something, you could watch videos related to that language. Then, while you're not studying for your chemistry exam, at least you're studying, like, I don't know, your favorite language or some shit like that. So, yeah, that's one way you can make better use of your time and avoid burning out during studying, right? Make sure you don't just force yourself to sit through studying, okay? Honestly, for me, after about 1 to 2 hours, I have to take a break. Like, I don't really sit there for more than 2 hours typically. I take a break, then I come back and continue. That's one way you can prevent yourself from burning out and feeling lethargic. Okay, wow, okay, GP tips. That's okay. So, first of all, I'm gonna be honest. I wouldn't really say I'm qualified to give GP tips because I'm not actually good at GP. Like, I didn't really get consistent A's. The only time I got an A for GP is in the A levels, right? Otherwise, my grades ranged from about B, C, D, E, around there. Mostly in about C, D range, more on the D side. So I'm not really good at GP, but I can tell you what I've learned, right, after the 2 years and what I've learned from my own mistakes, right? So I'm not sure if anyone else does this, but when I was writing GP essays, so you're writing AQ, or yeah, basically your long essay, right? One thing I did was when you're writing the shit, I try to make it longer. Like, I try to make it as long as possible to the point where it looked long enough to be good, right? That's what I thought, like, the longer it is, it looks like the more you know, right? Because I didn't have examples, so I just like over explain. So what this does is result in you just spitting out the same thing that you've already said, making the same points, just phrased differently. So you're just being redundant, right? Your paragraphs look longer, but they lose coherence over time, and you're more likely to go off topic if you do shit like this, right? So this is a mistake I was making for like the majority of my JC time. I only really realized this is an issue in like J2, or after I went for a consultation and my teacher pointed out that I was just writing a bunch of bullshit that didn't really matter. Okay. So yeah, that's one thing. Don't force yourself to write more just to make your paragraph look longer. It doesn't help. You lose marks. It's actually better to have a shorter one. So like, I guess probably you're scared that you look like you don't know anything if you write a short one, but they're looking for concise answers, right? So that's one thing you have to take note of. Right, so another thing I noticed, right? So if you go on websites like the Knowledge Loft and you look at some of the top tier essays on there, the way they write it is a bit radical, right? It's a bit strange, right? It's like they're kind of aggressive with their points. I don't know really how to explain this well, so I guess I might make a separate video on GP in the future, detailing exactly what I'm trying to say right now, as well as provide you with some examples of what I'm saying, right? But the way they write it is a bit more like unconventional than what you would expect from what is supposed to be a formal essay, right? So yeah, being a bit more unconventional and just letting your personality show basically in the essay just a little bit would probably help you score better. That's what I did in the A-level paper anyway. So all the way up till like prelim, right? The way I was writing was very rigid. I didn't really let my own personal thoughts shine through. I just tried to look knowledgeable, right? Extend your paragraphs. I mean, by extending my paragraphs, make them look longer, make it look like I knew what I was talking about. And then I didn't really dare to call out opposing viewpoints. So I think that's not what you should do. You should be a bit more aggressive with your viewpoints. Yeah, okay, if you don't understand what I'm saying right now, it's okay. I'm probably gonna make a follow-up video on this, because Yeah, you need the examples to know what I'm talking about. So yeah, just if you don't get it, it's okay. I'll explain in the future. Okay, so for GP, that's the essay part. The other part would be the SAQs, right? For this one, honestly, the teachers also say this. For SAQ, you kind of just need to practice. Like, it's kind of, you know, how you just practice for math and you get good at it, right? I think SAQ is somewhat similar, right? You keep practicing, you understand how the questions work, and then you can answer accordingly from there. You just need practice, right? For SAQ, that's how it works. SAQ is honestly not that bad. Like compared to essay, I would say SAQ is easier. SAQ is short answer question, by the way. It's like those 1 to 3 mark questions that are in your paper 2, I believe. So yeah, SAQ is practice. Essay is more of a skill, I'd say. But yeah, not saying SAQ is skillless, but it's easier to master your SAQ than your essay, unless you're already gifted at writing.